Welcome to Simply Happy Conversations, a podcast that teaches you how to create clutter-free, functional, and simply happy life. I'm Narelle King, a professional organizer who supports families with practical steps to simplify their lives and create a more organized home. I'm passionate about supporting neurodivergent families and individuals like myself. Why do you purchase new clothes? Maybe it's linen or toys, books, crafts. Are you trying to fulfill an unmet need? And do you hold on to items out of guilt, obligation, fear of scarcity, or emotional attachment? Today on the podcast, I'm unraveling clutter and acquiring habits, and I'll also share 10 daily routines to help reduce acquiring habits that can lead to the accumulation of clutter. Let's jump into this Simply Happy conversation. Thanks for joining me for today's solo episode. I am going to be unraveling clutter and acquiring habits. So I'm going to be talking about the psychological, emotional, and environmental factors that contribute to clutter accumulation and acquiring habits. I'm also going to share with you 10 daily routines that will help to reduce your acquiring habits, which then can prevent clutter from accumulating in your home. The psychological factors that can contribute to acquiring habits. One of the main conditions could be OCD, so Obsessive-Compulsive Disorder, and also anxiety is a huge psychological factor. In OCD, individuals often engage in a compulsive behavior as a way to alleviate the anxiety caused by the obsessive thoughts, and this can lead to a cycle of acquiring items. And this then may give a sense of control or relief, but it's providing just a temporary relief from the anxiety or the obsessive thoughts. And then there could be just anxiety, which can heighten the fears around a loss or missing out on something important. So this fear can then drive people to acquire more items as a way to cope with that anxiety. Anxiety can also affect decision making. When we're feeling really anxious, our prefrontal cortex in our brain is not online, it's offline, which means that making decisions is really hard. And this can then lead to indecisiveness about what to keep or discard. I see this regularly with clients that I'm working with. Even those small decisions can be really crippling. They'll be thinking about maybe what if I needed it in the future and regret getting rid of something. And then they're going to need to go and replace that item, which can take up a lot more energy and brain power and also the financial impact. Things that actually help the psychological factors is a combination of therapeutic approaches. So it could be cognitive behavior therapy, so CBT, exposure and response prevention, and this is ERP, and sometimes medication to help manage the anxiety and also develop maybe healthy coping strategies. The second reason for the accumulation of clutter is the emotional attachment. So this can create a complex relationship with possessions, which can make it really challenging for people to let go of things and also then reduce their acquiring habits. So acquiring is how we actually get the items into our home. So acquiring could be that you're going to a thrift shop and you're purchasing it from there. It may be acquiring it online. It could be acquiring it within a shop. It may even be acquiring through other people. So people know that you were looking for particular craft items and they drop them to you. It might be family members is another one I see a lot of with clients that they're acquiring is through family. And maybe they don't have those boundaries to be able to say, I don't actually want these items. And so then they have that emotional attachment to them. So there's a couple of different ways that emotional attachment can show up. People often associate certain items with their history. Maybe it's their memories or even their identity. So that could be wrapped up around maybe the work that they do. This connection can make it difficult to let go of possessions, as they may feel that these items are just part of who they are. So some examples I've seen with clients I've worked with and also heard from other professional organizers is around soft toys, maybe around school uniforms, even when you're into your 50s, but having that identity is tied up with the school and the uniform that you went to. Maybe it's around paperwork and a business that you had or you had to give up because of other reasons and you're not quite ready to let go of those items. one I see a lot of when I work with teachers and even teachers who have retired or are not teaching anymore is around their resources, their lesson plans, and letting go of those because it is attached to their actual identity. Also, what you'll find with the emotional attachment is items often carry like a sentimental value. So they remind people of specific events or maybe experiences that they had. And if they are neurodivergent like myself, I know for me, I will use those items to actually remember because I don't have a really good memory of certain things. But by having photos and actual things, that'll help for me to bring back that memory. So this emotional connection can impact the ability to reduce the actual acquiring, but also the letting go, because you feel like you're losing part of the memory. Another thing around the acquiring of items, it actually can symbolize relationships, especially if a loved one or someone has passed away and those items been left to you. So it might have even been a gift from someone and now they've passed away and you are wanting to keep that to symbolize your relationship. It could be around souvenirs from a holiday or an experience. And this can help strengthen your emotional connection to that person or maybe that time. And this can make it really hard to let go of those items as they represent that connection. Acquiring items, though, can provide also a sense of comfort and security. So there's people who will feel really anxious and uncertain, but whereas if they have those possessions, they can create almost like a false sense of stability. But they also lead to acquiring more items to maintain that feeling. And I see this with a lot of collections. So when people are collecting a certain item, it might be the soft toys, it could be spoons, it could be shoes. So it's going to be very difficult to then let go of those items and reduce the acquiring if it's actually helping with that feeling of stability and safety. Another thing around acquiring items, it sometimes becomes a coping mechanism for dealing with stress, loneliness, or those uncomfortable emotions. The act of buying something new can boost your mood. You get that dopamine hit when you buy something new, and it can provide the distraction from the uncomfortable emotions. But these are only temporary. We know what it's like when we buy a new piece of clothing. It only lasts for a small amount of time. Self-reflection and therapy that can help understand and address those attachments. And that means that you can have the help to actually then develop those healthier relationships with your belongings. The last one I wanted to touch on is environmental factors. So these can also significantly influence our acquiring habits. Our family dynamics or our childhood experiences can definitely impact our acquiring. If you have had a family member or a history of hoarding behaviors, then you are more likely to maybe adapt those similar habits and beliefs around scarcity. I've also seen the opposite with some members of family. So it might have been hoarding behaviors within the family, and then the next generation feel overwhelmed and anxious around clutter. Another one is our societal values and our cultural norms. And this is definitely around material possessions. In cultures like Australia, America, and even European countries, there's a real emphasis on buying new things or replacing items that are the newest model, and a real thing around material equals success. We may feel that pressure to acquire new items to fit in. I can remember as a teenager myself wanting a sports girl bag for my PE because everybody else had a sports girl or a country road bag, and I wanted one of those to fit in. I know these days we see teens and makeup and fashion that plays a real part in those trends. Then we have advertising and of course social media, which can create that desire for the new products. I mean, it's set up to show us the items. It now knows what items we're looking for, and it's then encouraging those acquiring habits. And marketing, it targets our emotions and it also creates that sense of urgency. So it makes us more likely to purchase that item you don't necessarily need. And so what was the last thing that you purchased that you haven't actually used yet or even worn yet? The ease of acquiring items now online in particular is scary. You can purchase things online and the delivery can be the same day or the very next day. And this can contribute to our buying online. If we add our credit card, that's another step that is also taken away. And you don't even have to move off the couch. If you have to move off the couch to go put your credit card details, maybe then you may stop yourself and not actually continue with that purchase. The convenience of purchasing items with a click of a button is really leading to impulse buying behaviors. There is the Netflix show Buy Now, which is worth watching, and that shows a little bit more around our acquiring and how they use websites and different things to encourage us to buy things. To reduce the cycle of clutter accumulating, one of the things we can do is ask ourselves a few questions. So why are we shopping? Is it connection? And that seems to be a really big factor I find when it comes to thrift shopping. People are looking for a connection, people who are living by themselves, and it's an opportunity to go maybe not buy anything too expensive, but also have a connection with somebody within the store. Is it just a quick fix of buying something to give us that emotion that we're looking for? Is it a coping mechanism? And do I need comfort or is it connection? And how else can I meet my needs? These are just a few questions that you might ask yourself to help you work out what it is. I want to walk through 10 different daily routines that help reduce acquiring habits and also prevent clutter from accumulating. So the first one I want to start with is maybe taking time to reflect on your emotional needs that can drive acquiring habits. So it might be journaling, but it might also be talking to a therapist and identify those issues that may be contributing to you wanting to buy more. Number 2, daily routine could be before making a purchase, ask yourself if the item is necessary and how it will fit into your life. So create a shopping list also avoids that impulse buying. For me, I have it in my notes, the things that I'm needing, and I'll make a list. And when it's time to go out shopping, I refer to my list and go through that so it stops me from impulse buying. Number 3 is spending time each week organizing your belongings. So if you're looking at your items you already have and also putting things back and away in their designated spot, then you're creating that order, and it means that you're going to remember where your things are and you're going to be more grateful for what you already have. Number 4, if you feel the urge to acquire something new, maybe implement a waiting period like 24 hours. It might be even 7 days for yourself. Whatever that number is that's comfortable for you, it's going to help you to reduce the impulse buying. Another thing is removing your credit card or even Afterpay as an option. If you've got to add logins and going and getting your card numbers, that's going to slow down the process for yourself. It may be something that you want to consider doing. The next one, number 5, is looking at those triggers that can lead to unnecessary buying and at certain stores or websites that maybe is when you're drawn to it. And I find for me, I need to limit the temptation by unsubscribing from those shops' emails. Sale is something that may be a trigger for you. When you see that word sale, you're like, okay, I'm going to have a look on their website, and then you buy something that actually you didn't really have on your shopping list that you actually need at the moment. Number 6 is share your goals with friends or family. They're going to be able to hold you accountable with what you want. Is this the vision for my home, my space, and my life when you're thinking about acquiring something? They might also be able to help you with your decluttering. And this can then also help you with maybe your progression along the way. But having a conversation is going to give you that motivation and accountability. Number 7 is take time to reflect on any emotional needs that may drive your acquiring habits. Number 7, cultivate gratitude for the items you already own. Taking the time to appreciate what you already have in your home, the clothes that you're already wearing. And this will reduce your desire to actually purchase more. Number 8 is let go of the guilt. So it's okay to change your mind. So instead of saying, oh, I shouldn't have bought that, see it as a lesson. When you've purchased an item you don't use or wear, then you're going to be able to let go of the items that aren't serving you without the guilt. Number 9 is mindfulness. Using mindfulness in our life is going to create awareness. So one of my favorite ways of incorporating mindfulness is taking your shoes off and walking outside on dirt, grass, sand, because this is going to help you to become more connected to the world around you. Also, just going out into nature or sunlight is also going to help you to become more mindful. And the last one is number 10, is practicing non-attachment. By letting the memories that you have for particular items, so maybe holding the item, practicing non-attachment and letting the memory live in your heart is going to help you to then maybe let go of the item. Another thing could be taking a photo. If you require that memory, it's not going to take up so much space and you still are going to have the thing to help you remember the item, but you're not going to have the physical item. Thank you so much for joining me for this Simply Happy conversation. I'd love if you could go to the review section of your listening app and tell me which one of those daily routines you think you'd like to adopt as a habit to prevent clutter accumulating in your home. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Simply Happy conversation. If you find yourself wasting precious time searching for misplaced items and wishing for a more organized life, then you need my 5-minute declutter ebook, the ultimate guide to quick and easy organizing solutions for a clutter-free and happy home. Forget about spending months KonMariing your house. These fun solutions are designed to give you immediate results in under 5 minutes. Head over to Simply Happy in the resource section and download your free copy and start seeing results in minutes. I'd like to acknowledge the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation on which this podcast is recorded as the traditional custodians of the land. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging.